Well, I'm joined now from Portland in Oregon by Douglas Lain, a novelist and host of the political podcast Zero Squared. Good to have you on. Is this a daft idea from the president?
Well, it is pretty daft, but we should always be a little bit hesitant to declare these kinds of suggestions completely absurd, at least to the extent that declaring them absurd stops us from thinking about what's going on in the background. We should hold off on our judgments on these kinds of stories. When I first heard about this, I thought, does Donald Trump just think the whole world is a game of Risk, or that's what politics are? You know, Risk is a game by Hasbro where the players try to take over the world. The name of the game originally was The Conquest of the World. So today, that's a retrograde approach to politics. But the truth is that the people of Greenland are still struggling for their independence, and Trump has kind of badgered his way into a sore point, I think, because the Inuit people of Greenland are not going to hit their deadline of 2021 for independence, and there's a tension between their political ambitions and the economic realities in the country, and that's just one aspect of this story, which if you laugh it off, you'll miss.
But on face value, likening this as Mr. Trump did to a large real estate deal, the message it sort of sends out as extra to all of this is one of old-fashioned exploitation of the natural environment. Greenland melts, so go and dig it up. It's wealth of minerals and untapped resources. A reminder, really, that climate change, or the climate emergency, as people are now calling it, is not top of the president's agenda.
Right, it's not, but it's, there are a variety of reasons why it's difficult to put the climate at the top of the agenda. The struggle of the Inuit people for independence kind of points that out. I mean, they're struggling to develop economically so they can no longer be reliant on Denmark's grant each year, and that probably will put the country at odds with environmental hopes for the country. I mean, I'm not an expert on industry in Greenland, but I just know that economic development and environmental conservation are often at odds with each other. No, I think the real thing to focus on here is the geopolitical background as well. I mean, we already have a base in Greenland, and Trump has been trying to get Europe to carry more of the responsibility for protecting the world. This is a very ham-fisted kind of thing to say in that context, and I think sets the world off teetering, or at least points out how it's already teetering.
Yes, and the US, as you're pointing out, operating this base in Greenland for decades. It's northernmost based, important for its global network of radars and other sensors to provide ballistic missile warning systems and space surveillance. So that's the strategically nice bit, isn't it? Did he ever think that he'd get anywhere with the Danish? Greenland is not for sale. The Prime Minister of Denmark said Greenland is not Danish. Greenland belongs to Greenland. I strongly hope that this is not meant seriously.
Oh, I can't imagine what's going on in Trump's mind, really. I mean, my sense of him has been that when you're asking the question, has Trump thought this through? The answer is always no. That he has instincts. He goes off. He tweaks, but I don't think that he has a fully worked out agenda. But his instincts are politically good, or another way to put it is they're damaging. So, when he makes an offer like this, the point of it may not be to get what he is asking for, to actually get Greenland, but to recontextualize things, to shake things up, and I think for Trump to express himself, just to get whatever's crossing his mind in that moment out. But what's crossing his mind happens to be real world events and real world problems, even if they're in a distorted way.
Well, it was always going to happen, wasn't it? A race for the riches of the Arctic and the Antarctic. China laying claims to parts of the Arctic, got interest in Greenland, as we heard there as well. It is indeed the new frontier, isn't it? Douglas Lain, great to have you on.
If
Thank
you want
you
to
very
make
much
this story
indeed.
more, okay, all right,
Go on,
thank you.
well, okay, carry on. One more thought. You were going to say something.
Well, one more thought. If you wanted to make this story seem even more absurd, you might point out that this might be part of Trump's plan to develop his space force, because the base in Greenland is tasked with controlling the space and looking for intercontinental missiles, and I think it might be at the center of Trump's plans for outer space. So there's all sorts of ways to make Trump look ridiculous, and he is ridiculous. But the other thing is our situation, our political moment is ridiculous as well.
Interstellar ambitions as well. Fascinating stuff. Douglas Lain, thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
All right, thank you.